Okay, so today we are with Niels from Black Oak County. How are you doing, mate? Are you all right?
I'm good. How are you?
I am totally fine, totally fine. It's great to see you. Been following the band for a little while now, so I just wanted to catch up with regards to the new album just released a couple of weeks ago. We'll talk about that later. I know a little bit about the band, but for those who don't know about Black Oak County, tell us all about the band.
Well, to sum it up, I suppose we are a Danish hard rock band. We have quite a wide range of music. Honestly, it's everything from piano ballads to like very aggressive, heavy, low-tuned metal almost. But we're just four dudes from the western side of Denmark who are just loving heavy music, love rock and roll, and just couldn't live without it.
Yeah. Was you brought up on that style of music, or is it something you've
Um,
fallen into?
I think definitely our bassist, no, sorry, our guitar player Jack and his brother Mike, who's our drummer, they were brought up with like the classic rock stuff and like early, you know, new wave of British heavy metal, all that jazz. Their dad Kent is he's a bassist himself, and he's a really great musician. He used to play with Mickey D, I know as well, like
Oh
back
yeah.
in the day, and so I know that the Mike and Jack, our drummer and guitar player respectively, they were brought up like with all of the greats from Ozzy to uh it's almost too many to tell really.
Yeah.
Whitesnake, AC/DC, even going back to stuff like Led Zeppelin and all that.
All right, yeah.
They definitely had like a classic rock or like early 80s metal upbringing.
Yeah.
And myself, I stumbled into like metal when I was an early teenager, and I think the same goes for Renee, our bassist. So we come from like very different upbringings, but some definitely had rock and metal around before
Yeah.
others had.
And how long's Black Oak County been around? I can't really remember how long it was. It was definitely early 2010s, was it? You formed?
Actually, this year marks our 10th anniversary as Blackout County,
Oh
which is
right,
also
yeah.
why we're on the 10 Years Around the Sun tour right
Yeah.
now.
You are,
But
yes. Going to talk about that in a
yes,
bit.
yeah, sure. But I think we formed around unofficially around like 11 or 12, maybe
All right, yeah.
2011,
Yeah, so
2012,
I thought that, yeah.
under a different name and
Yeah.
played a few
Great.
gigs and then
Yeah, Great White
changed our
Buffalo,
name.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
From what I
exactly. Yeah.
understand. But you had to change that because somebody else had it.
Yeah, there was an American band who had the trademark, so we got a record deal with Mighty Music, and then we couldn't release under that name in the states, so we had to change it. And then we came up with Black Oak County because we were really inspired by just so many bands that have something with black in it. Black Sabbath, Black Love
Yeah.
Society, Black
Yeah.
Stone Cherry,
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff. And then the rest of the name, Oak County, that's actually because the county we live in and that our band formed in, the like crest or the sigil of the county is a white oak tree. So it's kind of
All
like
right,
the
yeah.
symbolism of the opposite, the other side of the coin.
Oh, I like that. I like thinking behind that. That is a good one. And
Yeah,
if I remember rightly from what I studied about the band, you were in it, then you left, and then you came back. Is that am I
yeah,
right? And what's the
yeah,
story
yeah.
behind that?
Well, around the time of 2017, I believe, or 16, 17, we released our first self-titled album. And before getting into the band, I had also worked in the music industry as a guitar tech, roadie, and that kind of stuff. I've done all sorts of gigs with everyone from local guys down at the bar to Glenn Hughes and Wembley Arena and stuff like that. So like everything in between. And I was just a bit tired of the grind, really, because it is such hard work being in a band, and you have to just keep pursuing it, keep
Yeah.
pushing. You can't let your guard down. It's just never ending. And I was just in a position in my life where I was too worn down by it, and my wife and I got offered a position in Greenland, so we coinciding with us having to move there, I had to part ways with the band for a little while. And then they continued on as a trio and released the second album, and I don't think it was ever like it wasn't like written in the stars that I would come back to the band because I felt like I was done with music. But then when we moved back to Denmark, the guys hit me up and was like, "Hey, you want to like try and do a reunion show, or just like do a local gimmick or whatever?" So we did that, and then we were thinking maybe we should write a tune again, and then before I know, I was back in the band.
So that was before your third album, Three, is that right?
Yes, we released our self-titled album in 2016, I believe, or 17. And then Theater of the Mind, which was the trio album, came out in 2019. And then I moved back to Denmark and came into the band in 22, 23, maybe. And then in 24, that was our third album, which was very originally titled Three. And now
Yeah.
2026 marks the release of Misprint.
Mm. I'm not going to say anything about calling your third album Three. So many people are doing that at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll just leave it there. I'll
I
leave my
thought
thoughts to leave my thoughts to myself there.
it was funny because like coming up with the name for this album, we were thinking about maybe we should call our fourth album like something ridiculous, like Five or like Two or something like that, just to mess with people.
Now, you see, if you'd have done that, that would have made up for the three, so that would have been
Yeah,
good.
yeah, exactly.
So you've had some good successes. I've got to read them off here. 2016 top 40 in Denmark with If You Only Knew. 2024 single of the year with Save Your Breath. 2025 rock single of the year with Boom Boom Baby. Lot of success. What's your most memorable success with Blackout County?
I think honestly, we've had some really terrific and great experiences, and it's everything from just like little moments that happen in the van, between gigs, or playing, insane huge crowds or whatever. But I think the most recent highlight for me was our first time in the UK, actually, which was last year,
Yeah,
where we were playing Stonedead Festival
yeah,
up in Newark on Trent. That
yeah,
was really the highlight for me, because it was one of the biggest shows we'd ever played, and it was our first ever show in the UK, and we could not have ever dreamt of a better like reception or welcome.
hmm
What an audience! The UK in general, but like people were just loving it. If I told them to jump, they would jump. If I told them to sit down, they would say, "No, my knees." All that stuff. It was really really cool, and we got to share the stage again with Danish rock legends DAD, who we
yeah,
supported a long time ago when we were called Great White Buffalo.
yeah.
So yeah, it was just fun, fun games.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Stonedead Festival because anybody who watches my YouTube channel or has heard me on my morning rock out radio show knows I volunteer for Stonedead Festival, and now our
Oh,
paths
really?
actually crossed at Stonedead Festival because I'm one of the group who like greet the artists and that. So did say hi to you guys, and I did get to see your set at the gig. Great, great gig. So. Excellent. Glad you really enjoyed it. Everybody seems to have a good time at Stone Dead.
It was just beyond lovely. It was just amazing. Hopefully we'll be back someday, not just to the UK, but hopefully Stone Dead as well. Chris Zombie, call us again.
Well, whenever we're with Chris, I will mention him again. They do have
Yeah.
a 5 year rule, so you're not allowed back for 5 years. But so although they do bend it a little bit with a Friday night, they do a Friday night party. So they bend
Yeah,
it a
yeah,
bit. You
yeah.
can come back for that. So yeah, when I
We
see
thought we
Chris,
were
I'll,
thinking
I'll
about
say
that actually.
I'll say don't
To
forget about Blackout County for
Yeah,
next time. Yeah, I'd
yeah.
love to
Hopefully we
see.
can get to do that Friday party, or maybe if they have like just a little tent next to the lavatories or whatever, we'll play wherever. So
And if you're ever in the UK round about that time, I'm sure they'd like have you as guests. They'll get lots of artists just coming as guests. Loads of people there. Like I said, really glad you liked it. Really hope to see you back there sometime. If
yeah,
not there in the UK, sure I'll see you there. You
Yeah,
mentioned touring with DAD, which I always like to remind people is Disneyland After Dark, just to annoy
yeah.
the Disney Corporation. Always also toured with the Dead Daisies. What's your favourite band that you've toured with? Would it be DAD?
I think toured is the stretch. We did a few support gigs with both of
Well,
them, and
played
then we
played had
got
the shared the same stage with.
yeah, and it was funny that we supported both of them in Denmark, and then got to share the stage at Stonedead at the same year, all of us. I think the highlight must be the first gig we did with the Dead Daisies, which must have been in 2017, I think, because it was on June 8th, which is our guitarist Jack and our bassist Renee's birthday, both of
All right,
them,
yeah.
funnily enough. So it was a gig on their birthday, and I'd done some work with Marco Mendoza, who was in the band at the time. So I had arranged some. I had done these really cool posters that were like really nicely designed, and I'd incorporated some of the Dead Daisies artwork into them. And I got there early, and I got the band to sign these posters for Jack and Renee as a birthday gift. And then I didn't think much else of it really. But then halfway through our set, I get this chokehold like on stage. I'm like, oh, who has rushed the stage now or whatever? And it's Marco Mendoza of Whitesnake and
Yeah.
Ted Nugent fame, who just rushed the stage with these posters in hand, putting his arm around my neck, and then starting to sing the Happy Birthday song in Danish for the entire menu, which was definitely an experience to say the least. Especially because it was our, like I said, guitarist and bass player's birthday. But he sang the birthday song, and he turned around to our drummer Mike and said, "Happy birthday, dude," and went off stage. So, yeah, a classic moment.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, oh, that was a good time, I'm sure. You mentioned a moment ago you're on your 10 years around the sun tour. How's it going? If I remember rightly from what I saw, you've done about 4 or 5 dates already.
Yeah, we're about halfway through our Danish dates, and then later in the year we're going to go to Germany to do a week of shows all around the country, and we're incredibly excited for that. And it's gone great. The reception has been really great. Lots of amazing people are turning up to our shows and having a good time, wearing their dancing shoes, and then I don't think that they expect uh, to show up to a rock gig and have such a good time, honestly, because people are dancing, people are screaming and shouting and singing and head banging from start to finish. So it's just a good time all around.
Is that what do you feel, what do you want people to feel like taking away from your gig? Is that it? Just having a good time, getting the dancing shoes on and having a jump up and down?
Yeah, I think we come from various different backgrounds, the band members, and we also have a lot of different influences. But above all, we just have a love for the music and for having a good time. We strive to create that sort of feeling you get when you put on a record and your hands stand up on your arms and the back of your neck and stuff like that. We just know what music can do to you, so we want to bring that to as many people as possible. And it doesn't matter if we're playing, uh, like we played bars for 3 people, and we played Stone Dead for 5-6 thousand. We're going to be playing our biggest show ever this summer at Copenhagen, which is Denmark's seminal rock and metal festival, kind of like Download or
Mm,
whatever. And it doesn't matter, if it's there or if it's the pub for 3 guys. We're giving as much energy and attention to detail as we will ever do. So it's just
yeah.
all about the party and the rock and roll for us.
It is. It is for me as well, mate. I was gonna ask which gig are you most looking forward to? Is it that Copenhagen one?
Definitely, like at the moment, I would say that we're also this Friday, we're playing a hometown show, which is always special as well because uh, I feel personally I get the most nervous for those because if you're messing something up, at Stone Dead for 5,000 people, who knows if you're ever going to see him again. But if I mess up this Friday, my wife is not gonna let me outlive it for the next month or two. So that's almost most scary to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think honestly, really excited about our hometown show. Of course, incredibly excited to play Copenhagen, which is going to be our biggest festival appearance to date. A bit humbled by it, but also just like mostly excited. We're really going to show these guys how to rock.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm sure everybody out there is looking forward to that. Who's going? Check out Black Oak County there. And anybody wants to see Black Oak County on their European tour, there will be the dates in the description. And there'll be a link to the tour dates on your website as well, mate. So we'll spread the
Yes.
word. I'm sure got a few tickets still left to sell. I'm sure. Maybe one or two.
Yes. Yes, definitely. There's still room. No sold out shows as of yet, but these things might go fast. So if you want to come
Yeah.
check us out, get your tickets while you can. And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be back in the UK real soon as well. We're definitely looking into options regarding that. I can say without giving too much away. So hopefully,
Brilliant.
fingers crossed, we'll be back in the
Yeah.
UK ASAP.
Lovely, because that's what I wanted to know when you're going to be back here in the UK. Because I want to go see you again wherever you are. So yeah, keep our ears out for that. Let us know, mate.
Yeah, and if
Any
there's
chaos?
any promoter or booker out there who would like to have us over, please reach out to us. All our details are on our website.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, do that, folks. Link to the website is in the description, so you can click on that and get in touch with Black Oak County that way. Any chaos whilst you're on tour, mate? Anything bad happened? What's your most memorable moment so far?
It's almost too many to count. There's been so many, of the classic, almost like Spinal Tap-esque
Yeah.
experiences. But I think the most recent one that really like burned its way into my memory was we were heading to Switzerland for the first time last year. And it was a 3-day drive for us to get to this festival. We had to drive all through Friday, from Friday morning to late Friday, crash in Frankfurt, and then drive the rest of the way the day after, play the show, back to Frankfurt, back to Denmark. And then on the second day, when we were about an hour away for the festival, our drummer Mike was just sitting for himself in the back of the van, and he went, "It's funny, we never had a bus breakdown before, And as soon as he said that, you just hear the wheel bearing start to go.
Oh,
So definitely, thanks for that one, Mike.
yeah, he got blamed for that, didn't he? Big time.
Yeah, and I also think it always happens. It's always funny like that. Our new album is obviously called Misprint, and as it coincided, we had a misprint in the booklet for the album and also on the vinyl. So we've also agreed now that because of that, our next album is going to be called $5 million in an offshore bank account. Just fingers crossed, because since Misprint brought 2 misprints with it, maybe if we just get one of those, then it'll be fine.
I like that. Whilst when you're touring and whilst you don't have a gig, what do you do in your downtime, yourself and the rest of the band? What do you get up to apart from talk to people like me over Zoom?
I think we are pretty fortunate to not have many off dates, like when we were on tour. Not when we're on the road. It's mostly just driving from gig to gig, honestly. And then we might have time to hash stuff out business wise on the bus or whatever. But for this upcoming German leg of the tour, we're going to be having some days off. So we're definitely going to be doing some sightseeing, because as glorious as it is to be on tour, it's just in and out. We were in Berlin 3 or 4 weeks ago by now. And but you don't get to see Berlin. You just get to see it through the window of the van, and then straight to the venue, and you see the back room of that club or whatever for the next 12 hours, and then straight back into the van. So definitely excited to be having some time off and getting those kind of experiences as a band as well. That's not just airports or truck stop bathrooms or whatever. But other than that, like we have a pretty strict resume, like with the band. We rehearse a lot, we write a lot, we handle all the business side of things. So we're just, creating, making music 24/7.
Mm-hmm. Are you playing many tracks from the new album out on this tour?
I think it's 5 or 6 songs by now that has made it into the set list. Kill the Pain opens the album and the set as well. And then we'd also be doing Round the Sun, Starlight, Rock and Roll and Fade right now, I think. I might have forgotten one or two, but I think that's most of it for now.
Mm-hmm. Now, the sound of the band has been described as classic rock with sludgy, grungy, contemporary metal influences. How did all that come mashed together?
I think it's because we're from such different like backgrounds. Like I said, Mike and Jack were brought up with like a classic rock and 80s metal kind of uh, just household, really. Both their parents listened to that kind of stuff. And I think Renee was our bass player. He really like jumped on the bandwagon in the early noughties when all the new metal stuff like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and all that stuff happened. And I was rather late to the party. I didn't really have a taste in music until I was 12 or 13 and changed schools. And I had a classmate who had long hair and a shirt that said Metallica and like denim jeans with holes in it. And I thought, what a fucking hippie, you know? Because I'd never seen a hippie before growing up in like rural West Denmark.
Yeah.
So I got turned on to stuff like Megadeth and Pantera and Slayer and that kind of stuff when I was like 13, 14 years old. So we have a lot of different influences. And to this day, I know our drummer, he's really fond of like more modern metal stuff like I Prevail, Beartooth, all that jazz. And I crank Olivia Dean and Fleetwood Mac as much as I crank death metal. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So plenty of influences going into the melting pot, so to
It's
speak.
a big melting pot. Yeah, exactly. And that's also why our music is so, even on this album, you have songs like Around the Sun, which are very rock and roll.
Yeah.
And you have songs like Kill the Pain, which are very metal, obviously.
Yeah. Is there one song either on this new album or previous tracks that really represents the band, do you think?
I think it's really hard to pick, but I would definitely say that one of the songs that we were fortunate enough to get nominated and win an award for are like seminal for the band. So we were fortunate enough to win awards for Stage of Breath and for, excuse me, for Boom Boom Baby as well. But I think if there's one song that has to be the Black Oak County soundtrack, it must be our single Back for Blood, which came out right before our third album, because it has both me and Renee singing main vocals on it. And it's just a mix of all that rock and roll and chunky, more metalish riffs and just, you know, double guitar solo. It's like everything you could hope for in a rock and roll track, I think, or we think at least.
Yeah, I've heard that one. I really like that one.
Oh,
I
nice.
like
Thanks.
the stuff on the new album as well, which we've touched on a couple of times. Out now, Misprint. It was out beginning of April for 10th of
Yes.
April.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's streaming, is it?
It is, yes. And it is also available on select web shops, I believe. But yeah, all your streaming services, YouTube, the whole nine yards.
Yeah. But as I'm always telling everybody, like a old man that I am, get your physical copies because it's on CD, isn't it? Vinyl,
It's on
including a
CD and vinyl,
lovely
yes.
orange splatter. That's really nice, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, we were really trying to do something extra with this album for like the physical copies because it is important to us and it is the way we grew up as well, you know, standing in line at the local record store to get a hold of, you know, the next big thing or an album you had pre-ordered 6 months ago or whatever. So especially for the vinyl, we did a gatefold vinyl. We put a lot of extra goodies in there, lots of photos, and then yeah, of course the orange disc in there. So if you're a collector, that's definitely the one for you.
Yeah, that is really nice. That I'm very tempted at that one, and I've seen that on your website again, folks. Link in the description where you can buy it or get the link to buy it.
Yes.
So, talking about the album, you've said the album deals with the feeling of being out of place or not fitting in. Where did that feeling come from, and why did the band kind of like make it a central focus of an album?
it's funny because it came like it came as a an afterthought, really. We've been working on the songs for this album for some time, and then there's some very deep subjects on there, both in like good aspects, but also in like very anxious or depressed aspects. On one side of the coin, you have songs like "Before I Break" or "Sick and Tired," which are about just feeling unwell, knowing something is wrong and not knowing what how to fix it, basically. And then the flip side of that is a song like Starlight, which is probably our most heartfelt song to date, because we love to go, like I said, to the UK to play for fans, to Germany and Switzerland and all over Denmark. But as we get older, it's getting increasingly harder to have to look our kids in the eyes and say, "Daddy has to go away this weekend. I'm really
Oh yeah,
sorry." But
yeah.
and especially now that I think 5 months ago, Jack, our guitar player, he became a dad for the first time,
All
and
right.
my wife and I are expecting our first child as well here
Oh,
this September.
congratulations, mate.
Thank you. So it definitely it started as a song that meant a lot, and then it just as the album came out and as time went on, it just became bigger and bigger, and honestly harder to do even just live because it's so impactful and important to us. um, but going back to the whole thing of Misprint and like being at a place, we'd written all these songs, and then we were going to discuss what the album title was going to be. Yeah, so we were talking about like should the album title be one of the songs off of the album, but then it also the song has to really live up to the title track aspect of it all, and then discussing what the different songs subjects were and stuff, and trying to come up with a title. We kind of like as a joke said, why don't we call it Misprint, because we had a misprint on our previous album as well. We had two different vinyls, and some like the sticker that's on the vinyl got mixed up. It's not a big deal, but it was a thorn in our side for a little while. So as a joke, we went, why don't we just call it Misprint, because it's obviously a reference to that mistake. But then as we like dwelled on it for some time, we realized, okay, maybe it's actually not a bad idea, because the whole feeling out of place and feeling unwell and being like an outsider or an outcast, we feel it's like something every rock fan or metalhead to some extent might relate
Yeah.
to. I remember growing up on the countryside in West Denmark, like the only metalhead around, and you're not really a popular kid, and people think you're weird and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people can relate to that in one shape or form. Uh, so it just made sense for it to be
Yeah.
Misprint all of a sudden. It was kind of like a lightning in a bottle moment that came out of a joke, really.
Yeah. Well, it works. It works. And like you said, call your next album something like $1 million, please, and that'll be it.
Exactly, exactly.
You
Fingers
mentioned a
crossed.
few tracks off the album, and on the album there's a balance of like heavier songs that you mentioned, more melodic ones. Was it important as a band to like show both sides of Black Oak County in that respect?
I think in some way it is, because I think we just like to carry our influences on our sleeves, or show it on our sleeves, or whatever the saying is, because we listen to such various different artists ourselves. And I am truly, as stoked about uh, Landslide with Fleetwood Mac as I am with Enter Sandman by Metallica or whatever. So I think, to me personally, a good song is a good song, regardless of genre or whatever. So we really wanted to showcase like the writing aspect in some songs, like Starlight, and then we just also wanted to bring the party, in songs like Rock and Roll and Around the Sun, uh, and the heaviness as well in songs like Kill the Pain and Before I Break and that kind of stuff. So I think it's because we have such a mix of influences that we kind of want to, touch all the bases.
Hmm. You talked about like the titles of some of the songs and some of the lyrics in those songs. And it kind of like the album like touches on kind of like band's personal struggles, but also wider problems within society. How did you as a band decide to separate the two? Because it could have been all personal, it could have been all worldwide commentary. How did you balance the two?
I think it's just we write songs over a long period of time, so it becomes a mix depending on what's going on in our lives. It was a year and a half since we put out our last record, and in that time we've done gone through some heavy shit personally, and also the world has across the pond they got a new president who was pretty crazy, and not to get too political or anything, but I think definitely in the past couple of years, on top of all of our personal struggles we might have had, good or bad, you also see war back in Europe. There's the war in
Yeah.
Gaza, a lot of like divide all around, and it is both like in society and personal. So there was just a lot of different uh, entry points for material or whatever. We've never done like a concept album or anything like that. And I don't think Misprint is either. So
No.
we're not too set on like, okay, we're going to be writing about this for the next 12 songs or whatever.
Mm. You just mentioned concept album there. Any thoughts on doing a concept album?
I think the next one might be a Celine Dion tribute, but I'm not too sure about it yet. Still
Well,
need to get the other three guys involved. I know that our drummer has a soft spot for My Heart Will Go On, but I'm not sure about the rest of the guys.
well,
No, I think in all seriousness, I think we've talked a little bit about it, but it is also it can be very limiting in a way. We are musicians, but we're not probably the most accomplished musicians or virtuosos in any way, shape, or form. So I think we're just trying to write about what's happening in our lives and in the world around us and what we're feeling right now. Because who knows, it might be a very different 3 months from now. If one of us gets a divorce or whatever, it might be a very different soft rock
mm,
album, the next one, or whatever.
yeah, could well be. I really like the album. I've got it, and
Oh, I appreciate it,
I
man.
really like it. It's great. So, as I was saying, I've got the album. I really like it. But for those who haven't heard the album, is there one track that you'd recommend them listening to that kind of sums up the album?
Oh, that's really hard. I think I would have to go with Around the Sun off of this album because it showcases what we're able to do as a band. It's just a good time all around. It's a bouncy rock and roll track. It has both Renee singing the verses and me singing the choruses, trying to like showcase what we're good at as vocalists. And it has everything. It has a soaring, catchy chorus. It has a guitar solo with all the widdly diddlies that you might expect from a classic rock guitar track. So, if you love a good time, if you like rock and roll, check out Around the Sun.
There you go, then, folks. Is that your favorite track on the album, or is your other one a favorite?
It's really hard for me because there's a lot of songs that mean different things, but I think it depends on the day, really. I'm really proud of Starlight, the ballad on the album, because I really think we wrote a really good song there, just like in general. And we didn't write it like with a dream of getting a more radio friendly single or whatever. But I feel like, and that's also what I've been hearing from people who I've been talking to, that regardless of what kind of music you like, that's we're getting a lot of good feedback on that one. So I'm really proud about that one. But I think at the moment I really like uh, Fade actually, which
Mm,
is a very very slow and heavy and groovy track, kind of like inspired by some of our heroes, Ozzy Osbourne, his guitar player Zach Wild, and that kind of era of music. So, yeah, definitely No More Tears inspiration in that one.
yeah. Yeah, I like Kill the Pain, the opener, mate. That really punches you in the face as an
Yeah.
opening track, and I really like the way that comes across. That's probably my favourite off the
Oh, nice.
track,
Thanks,
off
man.
the album. That's not because of that's the only one I've heard. That's the first one. Oh yeah, that's the only one you played.
Yeah,
Talking about that being the heavy track, this album is a little bit heavier than the third album, Three. Was that a conscious decision? And if so, why?
I think it just came as a byproduct of some of the subject matter on the album. The way we write is sometimes we will come up with like a lyrical idea or a hook. Other times we just come up with some great riffs and we try to, put it in the bag and shake it all up and see what comes out in the end. But I think it's definitely a byproduct of the subject matter of personal struggle, of uh, division all across the board, just not feeling your best really. So I think that's why the music came out like it did on songs like Kill the Pain, Fade, Before I Break. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as I said, folks, Misprint out now on streaming platforms, but don't stream it. Get on to Black Oak County's website, buy the CD or that lovely orange splattered vinyl,
Yes,
and
definitely.
catch Black Oak County and their European tour dates in the description, as I said. Following that, mate, we talked about you coming to the UK. Apart from that, what else have you got in the future for Black Oak County?
Well, obviously we're still doing the Danish gigs of this tour, the festival circuit coming up this summer, and I think one or two festivals in Germany as well, uh, along with the German leg of the tour in November. So other than that, we're just working on new music, hoping to get some new material out for you guys soon. Maybe there's going to be some live tracks, who knows? And just working our ass off to get back to the UK as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, please get back as soon as possible. And you're on the
Yes.
usual socials, aren't you? So when all that is out, any live track, any new material, if people follow you, just search Black Oak County, isn't it? And
Yes.
they'll be able to find out there, won't they?
Yes, we have Facebook and Instagram. And if you really like us, we also have a private fan club over on Facebook. So if you really want to
Ah,
get some like behind the scenes info and stuff, you can check out our official fan club over on Facebook.
I'm not sure if I'm a part of that. I'll have to. And if I'm allowed to come on it, I'll post this video on so everybody
Sure.
can see it, see what you've
Feel
been up
free.
to. Thank you. I will do. I see you're sat there with a guitar under your arm. If I ever see anybody
Yes.
that, whilst I'm interviewing, has a guitar, I ask them, one, it's electric, so is it plugged in? Or can you plug it in? And
No,
could you give it a bit of a noodle? Could you give us a few riffs?
I can in a second. I have a practice amp right here. Not sure how it's going to pick up though in my headset, but can definitely give it a go.
Give it a go. I've had people try it without it being plugged in, and it totally didn't come on over. But I'm sure we're not getting anything. No, nothing's coming through.
No sound.
No
Oh, I'm
sound. No.
shit. Too bad.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I'm gonna I'm gonna have to stop it. I did this with another band, and it wasn't plugged in, but I thought it would just come over the mic, and it didn't.
Yeah, thought
That's a
so too.
shame. Never mind. Next time we'll get
Definitely,
something set up.
definitely. Let me see. Can I just do this instead? Maybe
Yeah.
I can.
Cool.
Uh, this. So now I'll be able to.
Yes. I heard a little come through. Brilliant. Thanks for trying. Thanks for trying, Niels. And also, thanks for joining us here on Morning Rock Out. Good luck with the rest of the tour, mate. Good luck with the album sales of the brilliant Misprint. And hopefully, I will see you here in the UK very soon.
Thanks so much for having me. Cheers to everyone at the Morning Rockout for checking this interview out, and thanks for checking us out as well. So thanks. Hopefully we'll be back in the UK soon.
Yeah.
Just check out Misprint.
Looking forward to it. Thanks very much, Niels. See you soon.
See you, man. Cheers.